So we are 3 days away from the game against Elche. Barcelona is also on the race to return as soon as possible with all of their players. Right now, players like Pedri, Dembele, and Christensen are all out for sure for the next 1 to 2 games. And who is doubtful for the Clásico? It is going to be Frenkie de Jong. Frenkie will not be in the game against Elche. There's definitely a very 50-50 chance that he will be making it to the Clásico. So if Frenkie de Jong does end up being out, this changes everything for this Barcelona squad. Like the domino effect is going to be massive. And if Frenkie does not play in the Clásico, because I know that for the Elche game is not really much of a big deal, it's going to be a very easy game. They are the worst team in La Liga. But going back to the Clásico, if Frenkie is not going to be there, there's going to be 2 different scenarios that I think Xavi Hernandez will be trying to debate on. Point number 1, Xavi uses a midfield of Busquets, Sergi, Roberto, Kessie, and Gavi, which is a 4-man midfield, and you have Gavi inverting himself into a midfielder. Or scenario number 2, Gavi gets placed automatically into the midfield with Sergi, Roberto, or Busquets, or whether it's Kessie and Busquets, and then having Ansu Fati on the left side. Option number 2 really does interest me, because when you have a player knowing that his club is hurting due to injuries, and if that specific player brings success during a time that the club is experiencing a lot of obstacles, that is one of the best ways you could boost the confidence of a player. And that could happen to Ansu Fati. If Ansu Fati can come into this Barcelona squad for the next 2 games and he scores goals and he makes up for the absence of Frenkie de Jong or Pedri or Dembele especially, that would be massive. And so right now Ansu Fati is not in his best moment, but this is going to be the times where you need to rise to the occasion, because if you don't, then when else are you going to do it? Because let me tell you, if Frenkie does end up being out and we have Christensen, Dembele, and Pedri all out, right, and it's now going to come down to Rafinha, Ansu Fati, Lewandowski, and with Gavi running our attack, and we still see no Ansu Fati, and we see like a total of 30 minutes within a span of 2 games that he does participate in, that would be really sad. And now that would really tell you the state that Xavi is in right now in regards to what he thinks about Ansu. And so it does say here, according to Cat Radio, that Ansu Fati's environment is very worried because they see that young players like Pedri and Balde have become key players in the team, and Ansu Fati is not. What happens until the end of the season will determine his future. His family received important offers from the Premier League. And then it continues to say here that Jorge Mendes, yes, has offered Ansu Fati to several Premier League clubs like Manchester United, Liverpool, and Arsenal. A decision about his future at Barcelona will be made at the end of this season. So I have said this before. I have made a video about like a week ago or 2 weeks ago explaining that a team like Arsenal would really suit Ansu Fati, because I do think that Arteta and Xavi Hernandez are very much aligned in their principles in football. Now there are a few differences. There are a few like different things that Xavi and Arteta do in their teams. Like for example, you know, we can talk about tactics all we want like in this video, but I don't want to make this video too long. But like for example, Arteta likes using his left back and converting him into a midfielder, which in this case is Zinchenko. Xavi is the opposite. Instead of him bringing in the left back to join the midfield, he uses his left winger, which is Gavi, and makes him join the midfield. But overall, they are very much the same. And I think that if Ansu were to go there, he would really benefit from Arteta's football, and he would be amazing. But because I'm a Barcelona fan and because this is a Barcelona channel, I want to see him at Barcelona and to continue for at the very least another 8 to 10 years. Ansu Fati is a player that can score about 30 plus goals per season. He's more than capable, and I'm a huge believer of Ansu. I've been trying to support Ansu Fati since 2019. But if it does not end up happening and we hear news about Xavi Hernandez just saying, yes, Ansu's a great player, but he will remain as a bench player because I want to bring other players in, and we just don't see Ansu fulfill his potential on what he could be, then I would like to see Ansu Fati get sold for a good amount. And you better bet that Jorge Mendes will make sure that does end up happening. Like, why do you think Jorge Mendes wants Ansu Fati to leave now? That is because his value is okay. It's at a good price. But if Jorge Mendes continues to just say, oh yeah, it's okay, just let Ansu Fati stay at Barcelona for another 2 or 3 years, his value is going to decrease. And so if Jorge Mendes wants to push Ansu Fati out now, that is because his value is high. So if you tell me, hey Kevin, like what are you talking about having Ansu Fati being sold for 65, 70, 75 million euros? He's not worth that amount. Well, tell Jorge Mendes that, because there's a reason why Mendes wants to sell this player now. It's because he is at a good value. It may not be for a total amount of 150 million euros, but it could very well be into the 60 to 80 million euro range. And then again, going back to what even Joan Laporta did say, he said that most likely we're going to have to sell one of our big attackers. And the reason why he says that is because he knows that there is a lot of value in his attackers. Now, according to Adria Albets, it says here that Ansu Fati currently does not want to leave FC Barcelona, but here's the thing, we never know what's going to happen. By the end of this season, things could change. Player opinions could change. The club's opinion could also change. If we hear Xavi Hernandez communicate to Ansu that Barcelona will be looking at other wingers in this transfer window. They're going to be bringing in players like Leao or Kylian Mbappe or Rashford. I'm just saying this, for the sake of an example. And he just tells Ansu that, I'm not fully betting on you right now, but I would love to keep you here in order for you to grow. But then we hear Ansu Fati saying that he wants more prominence and stuff of that nature. Then it's not going to happen. But I really do hope and wish for the best of Ansu, and I want him to continue for another 5, 7, 8 years, and I want him to score goals. Let's see what happens in these next 2 games and what he does for the rest of this season. I'm cheering for this player. So that is going to be wrapping up today's video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one.